I want to feed Monica cookies as she's asleep. That was so freaking cute. She's like the most anxious girl ever, but yet when she's asleep, she just goes on autopilot and eats cookies, and she becomes like a zoo animal. Felix is like, here, you want to feed one to her? Here, look, feed her the cookie. Look at it. She just keeps like chomping down, which is so funny in contrast to what the conversation that Luis and Rin is having, and the idea that she's like this monster, like super powerful. I only bully the strong, and she's incredibly strong. It seemed to imply a little bit about what may have happened during the interview process, which I'm kind of curious what exactly happened there. He mentioned the idea that she passed out, but then something happened. Like, they still accepted her in the end. Like, Rin's saying, you're a bully because she's super weak and timid, and she thinks that she's only joined because they had nobody else to fill the slot, basically. But he's like, no. Yeah, she was anxious. She basically passed out, but something must have happened. Like, something must have happened. He said that she's a monster. Something must have happened. I'm wondering if, kind of similar to her autopilot eating cookies while she's asleep, I'm wondering if she, like, defended herself or something like that after she passed out, or did something crazily powerful when she was out of it. I wonder. I think she did something while she was asleep. That would be very interesting. Again, kind of the idea of if she's a silent caster, and, you know, typically when people are asleep, yes, there's time where you'll mumble things, you'll say things out loud when you're asleep, but typically it's all in your mind. Whenever she casted something while she was asleep and she's a monster. I'm probably reading way too much in that. But yeah, episode 4, a decent episode. I think there's, again, a lot of the insights from Luis is kind of interesting. Again, finally connecting with Sirill, I think, is a very big part of this episode. Outside of that, yeah, a couple of predictions that I had kind of went to the wayside. But yeah, opening up the episode, let's go into it proper. Opening up with, yes, Rin showing up with the letter from Luis with a very important message. I'm going to be a father. Freaking Daryl over there like, this is not something I need to know. I don't really care about this. Is that all you came here for? But yeah, she also has a letter which says to, you know, write down your report on this letter because you're bad at talking out loud. Monica even still then is panicking over it. If I don't do a good report, he's going to get mad at me. I like how later on we find out that, yes, she did a good job because she opened the letter by saying congratulations, which he's like, that must be praised. That part's a good part. That first line, that was very good. But the second part, why can't this girl accept praise? She became a part of the student council treasury. I never even dreamed that she'd pull that off, but somehow she pulled that off. Why can't this girl just take some praise? It was cute. It was cute. But no, anyways, yeah, she senses that there was some ice mana nearby. They go out there, end up finding Sirill, and he is, at the time, he's trying to go report to everybody that he knows the culprit. So he did end up discovering what happened with Thornley, which was kind of odd because I assumed the lettering that he felt was familiar. I thought it would end up being that he recognizes Monica's handwriting from some book the Silent Witch wrote. No, he was recognizing Thornley's handwriting in the alterations in the book. So he was actually going to blow the cover of Thornley. Like, he figured it out, which was, yeah, kind of cool to see that there's competent people around Felix, because I have a comment to make about that later on. But anyways, yes, they go out there. His pendant is malfunctioning, and she realizes it before she goes out there. Uses silent casting to both protect Sirill while simultaneously countering the magic that he's producing, which is being produced by a large amount of mana that he's been absorbing. So it's like this whole element of like adding a whole bunch of levels to how like insanely powerful she is right now and able to kind of counter what he's doing. But yeah, she ends up taking the pendant, which we find out the pendant is very important to him. Even when Nero tried to take it from him, he's like, he just swat him away despite what he was going through. He was adamant about keeping that brooch, which, yes, we find out that this was something that was given to him by his foster father, which he really does respect. But we also find out that, yes, he's currently in a dilemma where he's trying to gain the approval of his mother. We find out his father was just basically a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat. He pretty much drunk himself to death, and he was left with just his mother. And at some point, he was accepted to be adopted into a new family. And yeah, his new foster father is accepting of him, gave him the brooch. He really appreciates that. But he's still trying to prove something to his mother. Now, the odd thing that was mentioned during this whole thing is it seems like obviously his mother, who was a commoner, she does seem like she's broken up by this whole incident, the death of the father. But at the same time, when he goes to the mother to try to seek her approval in the fact that he is going to get adopted, he wants her to be happy, wants to bring happiness to her. Her response to him saying he's going to be adopted is, "You really are that man's son, child of nobility." I don't know if that's like implying the idea that she never wanted to be a nobility, or because he is still a nobility despite the fact that they've lost their position because his father died, that him being able to get back in the nobility proves that he's in fact the son of her husband. I don't know. It seems like a very odd comment. And again, it does seem like she still, at this point, is not approving of her. And I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be. Hopefully we get into it later. But anyways, yeah, she ends up defeating him, grabbing the amulet, just doing a little bit of protective, formula. Just throwing a little formula on there because I can, because I'm super OP girl. Just does that. Yeah, he asks for it back, gives it back to him. And then, yes, realizes that there is the mind manipulation curse that is upon him. So she figured it out. Kind of similar to what we're all kind of figuring out. Each of these people are acting a little bit weird. Obviously, signs these people are being manipulated. She's figured it out and goes and confronts Thornley. This is the whole scene with Thornley was dorky. She just walks up and she's almost like she doesn't want a confrontation. She's like, "Don't bother with altering the stuff. I know exactly what's in there. Just don't do that replacement stuff." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to, mind manipulate you and everything with this perfection of a mind manipulation formula." And she's just like, "Nah, that's not good." Like, on the spot, she's just reading the formula and going, "No, that kind of sucks. Like, you forgot to carry the," like, instantly, she's like, "You forgot to carry the one. This is, like, total garbage. Like, why did you put that? No, this formula is horrible. Here, let me do it for you. And I'm going to turn them into butterflies. And they're going to make you have a dream about pigs and stuff like that." I like how it just, like, casually shows how, like, insanely OP she is. And I think there is an element here where she likes to do things in ways that are pretty. It is odd that even with, like, the opening segment, I think when Luis came to visit her, she purposely was, like, doing all these little effects and stuff like that. And I think it's because she just likes how it looks. There is almost an element of doing art within the action itself. And again, that's sort of an element of math as well, this idea of the art of math. And I kind of wonder if that's the same thing here. Like, she could just do mind manipulation on him, make him see this dream or whatever, but she goes out of her way to make them butterflies. Like, each formula is a butterfly. It's overkill. It seems like she enjoys it. Yeah, it could be done just for the sake of being pretty. It looked gorgeous. Like, that whole scene looked freaking gorgeous. But I almost wonder if there's an element there where that's just something that she does because it soothes her. She finds comfort in it. I'm assuming there's going to be some reason for going out of her way to do that. Anyways, yeah. Ends up throwing him the whole thing. And yeah, it does reveal at that point that, yeah, he was technically being called out by Sirill, and that he might manipulate him to forget about it. So it is at least kind of comforting that it wasn't just Monica that figured this out, that Sirill was doing his due diligence, and he figured it out before even Monica did. So it's really cool there. Now, yes, the bummer aspect of this whole scene is that we come to find out that it doesn't... I mean, we can find out something else later on, but we're coming to find out that Thornley isn't even working for a group to take down Felix. He's literally just talking about taking down the student council president. He's not talking about the second prince. He doesn't seem to care about the position of Felix. He just cares about embezzling money so that he can pay for his dark magic. Like, it doesn't even seem like it's that important. Again, we might find something later after Elise does some interrogation on him. Do some... I like how... Yeah, Monica does that, and she's like, "Oh, crap, I just literally broke the law by doing mind manipulation. I'm in so much trouble." And then Ren's like, "No, don't worry about it. I'll handle it. I'm going to take it to Luis. Luis will torture... interrogate him to find some information. I'll handle it. Don't worry about it." Yeah, maybe he'll figure something out there, but it felt like a little bit of a letdown for this to be some random dude that did this. Anyways, we get a little brief scene of Lana and Monica in the classroom. She's got her braids messed up again. It looks so cute. She's like, "I think I got the proportions and the angles right with the braids." Like, she's got to turn it into math. But no, it sucked because she's like, yeah, somebody apparently came and took down Thornley. He was, doing dark magic. Apparently it was one of the 7 sages came by. Luis, I've only seen him in the capital, and she's geeking out. And she started talking about the 7 sages. And I hate the fact that Monica doesn't care. So she ends up interrupting her at some point. And we only got 4 of them. We got mention the barrier mage, which of course is Luis. We got the mention of Starseer Witch, Witch of Thorns, and Artillery Mage. And then add the Silent Witch. So that at least gives us 5 of the 7. But I'd be curious to find out what each one of these are. Typically, Witch of Thorns in a lot of cases are manipulators of some way. Starseer, I can see being somebody that can either be able to read into things or use some sort of magic of the stars, something like that. Barrier Mage, obviously, with Lise. I'm assuming he's probably going to be more about defense, as well as probably physical enhancements, is my assumption, because, again, the whole hand thing. Artillery Mage, I would assume, is just somebody that's is focused on offensive magic of some sort, but we'll see. But pretty cool little rundown of them. But yeah, then we get a little brief scene of Felix with the water high spirit Windianu, who is apparently, like, transforms into a lizard. But yeah, he's reporting that Sirill's okay. Somebody brought him back to the dorm. But I'll also kind of mention the fact that, they're looking into suspicious things that are happening right now, currently looking at Monica. Like, even this water spirit is looking at Monica as being suspect. Which, Felix, nice to see here that he is not a dumb pretty boy. It does seem like he is monitoring Monica in some way, and he's been apparently testing her, leaving things behind that people would have noticed to sort of bait her into doing something, leaving keys behind and whatnot that she's not even touching, which is like so funny because I'm thinking to myself, yeah, she's right there geeking out on math. She doesn't care about the keys next to her. You could literally set like a massive cake next to her and she'd be just like, even with the smell, she'd be just like, oh, math. But yeah, he does at least acknowledge that somebody probably sent Monica. He's expecting that it's either possibly an overseer sent by Duke Clockford, which again is the Duke that is supporting him, or possibly a guard sent by His Majesty. And yeah, also the idea that she could be an assassin. Who knows? But a kind of a sad statement made here, and the idea that, yes, while everybody is kind of worried for his safety, and they're trying to put in measures to protect him or whatever, or keep him from doing things, stay inside the room, don't go out there at night, that kind of stuff, he's right here saying, my life is only important until the next person is crowned. Let me enjoy my life. This idea that I'm probably not going to be around for long. Let me enjoy the time that I have, basically. It's his responsibilities are pretty much weighing down upon him. It kind of sucks. But yeah, that's when we get the cookie scene. Monica passes out while doing the books because she's used too much mana, which is kind of a nice note to there. Kind of curious as to the mana capacities of characters in this world. And it seems to imply the idea that, yeah, using too much mana, which seemingly that was enough for her. Doing mind manipulation, shielding Sirill, and countering the spells was enough to wear her down. And also the formula for protecting the amulet, that was enough to drain her. She doesn't have like this massive mana pool. But yeah, Sirill comes in, she's asleep, goes over there, was gonna leave her there, but then suddenly Felix comes in, and he's like, no, don't, it's not what you think, it's not what you think. And then she starts mumbling about him having a wife and stuff like that. He's like, Sirill, you gotta take responsibility. It's very important. He's like, no, she's just blabbling stuff. And he starts feeding cookies to her. It was a goofy little scene there. I love the fact that when she wakes up, though, she was like, you're no longer cold, thank goodness. I think he's connected it. I mean, yet the fact that he noted that her hands are really small, similar to then when the brooch was set on his chest, even though she has this hood over and it can obviously see her face underneath it, he doesn't see her face, so he can only go based on the size of her hand, and additionally the fact that she's noting that he's not leaking out all this mana anymore. Which again, I was kind of surprised that she didn't bring that up earlier. I mean, you're leaking a lot of mana. That's not normal. That was my assumption. This is not normal. But again, that's technically the type of person she is. She just doesn't want to rock the boat. But yeah, that's when we get a very interesting scene between Luis and Rin, as he's looking at the report, mentions the fact that she had a really good opening to the report, but really, this girl has a problem with accepting praise, which, yeah, we kind of seen that with the whole situation with her conversation with Sirill. And the idea that Cyrill's like, you gained the favor of the prince. You, through your hard work, your work was accepted and seen as good. Hold your head high. Like, why can't you do that? And she said, I have an inability to accept praise. And it's all from that flashback of that boy saying, she basically messed up. That it was because of her action, that she looks down upon people. There is a sense here where she just cannot accept that she's better at something because it's blown up in her face in the past. She doesn't like to be seen or praised or anything like that. So, again, makes sense here that he's seeing that as well. Luis is seeing that as well. Like, you did something crazy. You became the treasurer of the student council, like, literally on your first day, or the second day. Like, hold your head high. That's an achievement there. Don't just blow that away as things happened. Things just happened. But yeah, funny little moment here talking about what Rin sees in Luis and the idea that he likes to bully the weak, or at least she's heard this and it seemed to show. And the fact that, yeah, with this whole situation happening with the brooch that you made to protect the prince and it got broke, you're just kind of forking over your frustrations on the Silent Witch. You're bullying the weak. So the boot seems to fit, basically. And he's like, is that what you think of me? That I'm bullying the weak? That I like that? Very interesting. But yeah, then Sony gets into the idea of pretty much pointing out that, yeah, Monica's not weak. The Silent Witch is not weak like people seem to think. And again, it gets into the idea that they had that whole interview, that it wasn't a case where she was just kind of pulled in because they needed to fit the slot. She had the interview, she passed out, and then something happened. Something happened that proved her worth in that whole situation. And again, I'm curious if it's an aspect of her doing something while she was asleep, while she was unconscious or something. They were like, oh, okay, this is special somehow. So I'll be curious again to kind of see more about exactly what happened there. But yeah, he's pointing out the idea that he doesn't like to bully the weak. He's actually somebody that takes pride in being a certain sort of genius. The fact that she's a monster, and that additionally the prince is very cunning, is a very cunning boy. And so, like, what she comes to conclusion on is that, yeah, he doesn't like to bully the weak. He's trying to, right now, with Monica working to protect Felix, he's bullying two people that are incredibly strong. He's a type that likes to bully the strong. Which is funny because in the end, she's like, does that mean that she's stronger than you? And he's like, I wonder about that. You already said it. You already literally said that you like to bully the strong, and you're like, these two people are strong. Yeah, kind of implies to me that she's probably more powerful than he is. Which, that's the assumption. In the end, that's kind of the assumption. There may be some of these sages that might be like of level with her. Her specialty is that she can do silent casting instantly to boot, which is typically going to put somebody in a very advantageous position where they don't have to do incantations. That usually puts them at the top of the chain. You don't have to say all these words to cast at somebody. You're going to always be faster than them unless they can get you off guard or something like that, or pre-cast something. But the stuff around Felix is interesting. He says, I understand the Majesty's true intentions in monitoring the second prince. He's a capable man. He gained the trust and the confidence of the nobles near and abroad. And he's also in favor of Duke Clockford, who's the most powerful noble in the nation. That's a lot of people backing him, but obviously kind of gives the indication that Felix is going to be up on the plate. Like, he has to be king, right? And that seems to be what it is. A lot of people see him as being the next king. But he remains an enigma. He's cunning and can't be outsmarted using straightforward methods. What is that comment? Like, the conversation like shifts from this idea of like, oh, so Felix is up for the throne. It gave me the indication that he's not. But again, Luis isn't backing the second prince. He's backing the first prince. It sort of is implying that Luis is trying to take down Felix. He likes to bully the strong. He's not backing Felix. He's being forced to protect Felix by His Majesty. And so he's doing this in a way to possibly try to take down Felix. I don't know. Again, in the end, I don't think that Luis cares to take down Felix, but if he is backing the first prince, he's going to want to. But he's also sending a very powerful person to essentially protect Felix, because in the end, he has to. It's his duty. If something happens to Felix, Luis is dead. In a lot of stories like this, if he was ordered to protect the prince, despite the fact that he's not in his camp, if he fails to do so, off with his head. Felix ends up dead, you're dead. That's the idea there. That's how important it is that he does his job. But I'm kind of curious what he means by the idea of understanding the Majesty's true intention. And I think that was sort of established in the first episode, that the intention there was knowing that Luis wasn't backing Felix, it would force him to have to protect him in the end, and not using his power as a sage to obliterate Felix. I don't know. But I can also say that in the wording of that, it almost feels as if Luis knows that His Majesty doesn't care for Felix to be in that position. I don't think so. Why would he hire one of the 7 sages to protect Felix if he didn't care for him? It's interesting. It's very interesting. I think that I'm reading a bit too much in that, though. Admittedly, I think I'm reading too much into that. But it's odd that he calls him cunning, and he can't be outsmarted by straightforward methods. Felix so far has been proven to me as being kind of incompetent. I'm going to be perfectly honest. If he can be attacked by a schoolgirl with a freaking flower pot and he can't track her down himself, if he can nearly be assassinated twice, if he can't figure out this whole like thing this guy was doing to mess with their books for so long, if he couldn't figure out that their books were wrong for this long, there's a lot of things that Felix is doing. Now, granted, a lot of what was happening with the books is because he trusted Sirill, and Sirill was being mind manipulated. And it could be that he wasn't checking the stuff, but it was him recently covering the books, and even Monica criticized it, and they got mad at her for criticizing what Felix was doing. He's being outsmarted by school kids and a professor. They're not painting him as being a smart guy so far. They're not really painting him to be a smart guy so far. But I don't know. Well, I don't know. But yeah, very interesting little scene there. I like the ending to it. So you are a trouble person that enjoys bullying the strong. I'll keep that in mind. Take the trouble part out there. Yeah, we wrap up the episode with student council. They have to kind of help their image because of all that's been happening. And then Felix assigns Monica to go around and introduce herself to the club leaders as the next treasurer. And Sirill wants to go with her to help her out. Yeah, accepting her as a member of the student council. It was a cute little thing. It was a cute little ending there. I like it. But anyways, that's my thoughts on episode 4 of Silent Witch. Good episode as always. Really enjoy the series and all the many cute faces of Monica and her, again, autopilot eating cookies and whatnot. But I hope you guys enjoyed my video as always. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and want to support more, become a member of the channel. Until next time, y'all take care.